Hey, good afternoon. I hope all is well. This one is about the Supermind. So, there's a lot of information, which is why I sighed. It's really hard to put into words, but the Supermind is basically, from what I understand currently, in spiral dynamics integral, is everyone's consciousness as one. So you can consider this God, or you can consider it like a collective consciousness. And so everything moves with the Supermind, and depending on how much will and force a single individual has on that Supermind, the movement of energy, which I discussed in previous videos, EMT, will transfer and move differently. And so the EMT will be stronger for one person over another, and basically you're shifting the Supermind a particular way. The easiest way to shift the Supermind is for the ego to get rattled, because then he'll try to convince the collective that we need to get moving. And even if it's not convinced, it will still cooperate because the ego is kind of part with God. It factors in what it's doing so that it can adjust to any given landscape, But the way to kind of get it moving is to breathe and do your own energy healing, But what that's going to do is it's going to create some fluctuation, and depending on how efficient you are at energy movement in your own body will determine how much will you're affecting in the external universe. And Alan Watts once said that those who take up yoga see all kinds of travesties happening in their life, like their neighbor dies and this person loses a dog or something like that, he says. And the reason why that happens is because the energy movement that takes place from someone skilled at moving his own energy, which is just cleansing out his own body. So that's how you're skilled at it. But in regard to the Supermind at large, you don't necessarily need to do yoga techniques. It could just be something different, something that makes you excited to think about. And just by thinking about it, you shift the whole planet because your will is strong, because you fill your body with light. That's also another thing. People who are more erratic in consciousness, like there's more fluctuations. There's more movement in their own body, in their own way of being. They will have less consistency in the energy systems. They'll be less linear. They'll have periods in people who are more linear will have periods in their life, like for months at a time, where they're just calmer. And then they'll go through like maybe a week to a month of like pondering, the purpose of existence and what we can do to change things. But there's like a shift where it's pretty linear, but depending on the individual, it will be more erratic. So I've been speculating that once you reach coral, you become naturally erratic, ADHD and things like that. And so the volatility is higher, and those people will have the most influence on the Supermind, not because they're higher, but because their impact on the Supermind, on the fluctuations of energy, is greater. Right. So what that'll entail in like everyday reality is not only will you feel when the Supermind is weird, but you'll notice, and even if you don't notice it, just open your eyes and you'll see that when it's chaotic, everyone's chaotic. When it's calm, everyone is calm, because there's a certain rhythm and flow that the people are interconnected with the atmosphere, and the people are connected with each other. And when it's calm, everyone, when it's erratic, everyone's erratic. When it's calm, everyone's calm. It's like one body. It's part of the Supermind. It's part of the one mind. So in coral, you start to notice this. In turquoise, you understand holism, but it doesn't necessarily mean you understand that the energy is moving in a certain rhythm, or you'll understand it, but you may not pick up on it as easily. And I believe in coral, you notice as you're more out there in the world, so it's so readily understandable how much influence you have on the world and how much how integrated you are to the very systems at large, how you're a product of that system, and how the system necessitates you, how you need the system to implement your change. You understand the very nature and fabric of the system involving you as being a part of it, and that'll cause you to be able to see it so readily. So I came up with certain principles when I entered into stage turquoise, but it appears that wisdom comes with turquoise, but it's more stable wisdom. But the the constant boom, 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 like just idea, idea, idea. That is a product of coral. Getting new information, not knowing what to do with it. So maybe he'll make videos on YouTube. Maybe he'll write tons of books. Maybe he'll create a blog. But that slows down as you kind of phase out of coral. What's also possible with coral is that they may underestimate their level of consciousness. Not that they're humble, but that they're moving quickly is such a way of life for them that they don't realize how fast already they move to other things. So when they say 50% coral, which I believe I reached 50% recently, what they really mean is something like 75 or maybe even 80. It's interesting to consider that it's not that they're humble, it's that they're just rushing. Everything is rushed. Not because they're rushing it, but because everything is rushed. They see the universe's movement. It's like looking at a fan that's spinning. When you look at a fan that's spinning, you get dizzy, right? But when you don't, it just looks serene. So the turquoise looking at the fan and seeing the wholeness of it. It's a moving fan. Coral is caught up in it. Oh my gosh, it's getting me dizzy. It's going round and round. And so coral is being caught up in it makes you not realize how much progress you've made because you've been caught up in it. Now, based on what I've been understanding, is that once you enter into teal, you'll slow down. So doesn't that mean that I'm not in teal because I haven't slowed down yet? So first of all, I have been slowing down, but it's possible that you only slow down once you enter into like 20% teal or 30% teal. So I don't know. Right now, I'm willing to undervalue my stages, because the tendency with most stages is that you overestimate. That you say you're in coral, but you're really in yellow. You say you're in Mandarin, but you're really in coral and stuff like that. You always overestimate. So it could be that humility and objectivity make overestimation kind of eliminated once you reach yellow, once you reach turquoise and coral. But I'm just in case, I'm gonna try extra hard. So yeah, my theory is that lower stages have more of this issue because in a stage red and orange will both say that they're in stage Mandarin, even though they'll probably have like 6 years until they exit out fully of orange. So it's just ironic that that's what happens. But rushing the process rushes them, and it helps them. So all this was discussing the supermind, the interconnectedness between all people with that supermind, and Coral is starting to see objectively that they're one with the supermind.